where Fitzroy down Melbourne.
In the first half. Footscray looked by far the better side, and they had 3 or 4 opportunities there towards the end of the second quarter where they could have kicked goals, running the ball down into the forward line where they did waste the opportunity, but they could have been 3 or 4 or 5 goals in front at half-time. But after half-time, Tim, it was a completely different story. The Swans changed Michael Byrne, who'd been completely beaten by Peter Foster at centre-half forward. They moved him down to the forward pocket and got Foster out of the play a little bit, and they were able to bypass that centre-half forward position. And really, once they got their running game going, Footscray were completely disappointing and never looked like they had a chance in that second half.
Well, who were the real generators when they fired in the second half?
Well, Murphy played a tremendous game all day. Tony Moore on the half-forward line kicked 6 goals straight, and they needed him today because Warwick Kappa only kicked 2 goals for the day, and it was really a little bit disappointing on the day.
Who had the job on him? Kennedy held him so well last time in Sydney, of course, against an Avalanche. Who did it today?
Yes, well, Michael Ford played on him all day, and although Kappa got the ball a fair few times, he was around the 45 to 50 metre mark, and he really does struggle to make the distance from that range. But Michael Ford did play a top game on him today, but as I said, Morwood with 6 goals straight was tremendous across that half-forward line, and also Mark Bayes, once he was there across that half-forward line, did a tremendous job as well. But really, the players that got them going were their smaller players. Murphy played a tremendous game across the centre line. He had 18 kicks and 11 handballs, and he was tremendous all day long. He started off on Doug Hawkins, and he had the better of that duel. Greg Williams did well in the centre, and also Paul Hawke was the other player who did well. And in that second half, their backline held up really well across the, especially their half back line with Dennis Carroll, Henwood, and also the ex-Footscray player Neil Cordy. They could not get that ball past the half-forward line in the second half, Footscray.
What about where it all starts? Coleman been carrying the burden in the ruck for the Swans. Did he hold his own against Purser?
Well, the rucks didn't have a really great bearing on the game today, Tim. I think they broke pretty well even, but Coleman played just about a kick behind the game all day long, and that's where he got most of his kicks. He took quite a few strong marks across the half-back line, but he played at, as I say, a kick behind the game, and the ruck duels didn't have a great bearing on the game at all.
Well, those little men you talked about for the Swans doing the damage against Footscray's glamour little men, as they've become lately. Royal, Petraglia, Liberatore, not so good today?
Royal was probably the best of them, but Petraglia and Liberatore spent a lot of time on the bench, so that just shows how they went. McGuinness had a few kicks early, looked a little bit dangerous, had a couple of shots at goals that he missed. He kicked about 3 behinds in that first quarter, and if he had a kick straight, Footscray would have been a lot further in front. But once the Swans started to apply the pressure in the second half, Footscray really deteriorated badly, and they ended up really a bit of a rabble in that second half.
Disappointing for them. It was their acid test after 7 straight wins, and Carlton and Hawthorn to come. Could be a worry.
Yes, well, you know, the bigger grounds, I think we'll find them out, Tim, and the drier grounds. You know, Liberatore, Petraglia, those fellows are really good in the wet. But today, when the ball was up in the air, they just could not compete. They were outmarked all the time, and really, there's not much going for the Bulldogs today. They were, as I say, very disappointing. And apart from Foster, who took 12 marks for the day at centre half back, and they moved him to centre half forward in the second half to try to generate a bit of drive there, but they really didn't have many good players at all.
Well, finally, there was conjecture about how the Swans might handle VFL Park. They haven't played there, apart from in night games, since they moved to Sydney. It sounds as though after a half of feeling it out, they handled it okay.
Yeah, no problems at all, Tim. That second half, they were absolutely brilliant. And as I say, once they got their running game going, they had no problems at all. They really made Footscray look second-rate.
Right, thanks, Bernie. We're going down to the winners' rooms now. Bernie's told us that David Murphy, state wingman this year, was one of the stars for the Swans. And here he is with Drew Morford.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, pleasure to meet and talk to the guy that most people are saying the most improved player in the competition this year. You've had a superb year, haven't you?
Yeah, I worked very hard over the pre-season. I attribute that to that, and also Tommy Hafey and Jared Healy and Greg Williams, the guys that really got behind me, and they really got right behind me and made me realise that I've got a little bit of ability, and it's really worked for me this year.
And what about today? You were just saying to me you got out of jail a bit. You struggled a bit early?
Yeah, I thought we were very, very sluggish early. The first 2 quarters were very lethargic, but like all good teams, we come through, and I'm sure Tommy should be very happy.
I mean, I think there was a while there, Footscray went about an hour and kicked just one goal. So you really stopped them to nothing.
That's right. I think all the boys realised at that moment that we had to do something then or we were gone. So it's very pleasing the way the guys fought their way, and now we're established in third spot, which is great.
And it'd be pleasing to know that you can win at VFL Park, because if you're going to go on with, you're probably going to have to play out here at some stage during the finals.
Yeah, sure. It's a big ground compared to the SCG. It'd fit about 3 SCGs in that. Yeah, no, it's a very good ground and a lot of space, and it suits a lot of our little players, and I don't think there's any big ground hoodoo on us, no way.
Was that a bit of a motivation for Tom prior to the game? Because it might have been a bit hard to G yourselves up after you'd beaten them by 108 points in the first round.
Yeah, but we realised that they have improved since then, and Mickey's really got them firing. We knew it was going to be a hard game. It was a fight for third spot.
Well, that's right, and you certainly put them away in no uncertain terms. I mean, what's it like when you come down here, and the interstate teams have had it when they come to Melbourne? Are you getting the support, do you reckon, from the former South Melbourne supporters? Are they stuck with you now that you're Sydney?
The former South Melbourne supporters have really been tremendous since the guys have gone to Sydney. They've all regrouped there, and luckily we're the only interstate team with a little bit of a following out there, and it's quite noticeable today, actually, when we got a goal.
So you actually were getting a few cheers when you kicked a goal?
Yeah, no, it's very pleasing. You know, hands up for the South Melbourne, the old South Melbourne supporters have really stuck by us.
Well, as I said, about the most improved player in the competition, it was great that you played for Victoria earlier this year. Looking forward to another one, going over to Perth?
Yeah, it certainly is a great buzz and a great thrill to represent Victoria, and I hope I can keep my form just so I can go to Perth with the rest of the guys again.
Well, you've kept it up right since that previous state game. Well, from the games I've seen, both live and on television, I don't think you've put in a bad one this year, have you?
They've missed a few games, and if you asked Tommy that, he wouldn't agree to that, no way.
Don't tell me he's giving you some stick.
Oh, every now and then, he keeps me on the toes. I can't get too carried away, no way.
Oh, well, I think he'd have to be very pleased with you, and another top effort today. Well played.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks,
Right, thanks, Tim.
Thanks very much, Drew, with David Murphy in the winners' rooms at VFL Park, and perhaps we'll have something from the losers' rooms before we get around to our replays at 5 o'clock. We're now down to Moorabbin for our second feature match. St Kilda 34-point winners over Fitzroy, and the Saints gain a little bit of a cushion, protecting them against Richmond, who are breathing down their necks in the battle to not get the wooden spoon. And Fitzroy will on the receiving end again after it looked as though they might have turned the corner with a win over Melbourne last week. Well, John Nichols was meant to be down there, but I did hear that his seat might have been empty. He'd gone in to join the greats of 66. A few old contemporaries of his. No, it looks as though he is there. Great day for the Saints, Big John.
Yes, magnificent. Knowing the build-up, Tim, knowing just how important it was for them to win. They were a bit scratchy to start with in that first quarter, but they just steamrolled Fitzroy after that, because they just got stronger every quarter, and as they got stronger, Fitzroy started to fumble.
Well, people say that the Saints do have some pretty good players, and if only they could string it together regularly, they wouldn't be so bad. Did they show a bit of that?
Well, I think an overall thing, it was probably, I was disappointed in a couple of things Fitzroy did too. I mean, they persisting with Paul Roos at centre-half forward or full forward, and I think he had 6 kicks for the day, 2 goals, and that's, for Roos really has to dominate to keep Fitzroy in it. Gary Pert, was good to see him back, but he's obviously not fit yet, and also I think as the game went on, and particularly the second quarter, Spiro Korkamelis, it was like the foreign brigade, because to finish up with Brad Gotch, 20 possessions, 7 goals, magnificent game against his old club, which I'm sure he's proud about. Korkamelis had 15 possessions in the second quarter, 35 possessions for the game, and it was Gotch, McConville, Korkamelis, Ware Jones played very well in the ruck. But, all in all, they were just too good as the game went on.
Lockett, 5 goals. Was he a key?
Yes, 5 goals to Lockett, 4 goals to Nicky Winmar, who's a very exciting player, 2 goals to Lowe, and Rod Owen was the odd man out because he kicked 5 points straight and he had plenty of chances.
Well, look, we'll come back and talk further about it, but I think Daryl Baldock is available to us down in the winners' room, so just stay there a moment, Big John. Let's go down to hear from dazzling Daryl, the captain in 66 when the Saints won the flag, coach today. Here he is with Peter G.
Yep, right. Daryl, would you like to have your fellow 1966 Premiership team winners here every week?
Why not, Peter? If it allows, makes us to win, yeah, my word.
Did the build-up during the week, do you think, play some part in the players feeling that they wanted to cap it off with a win?
I think on Thursday night we had a players' tea and meeting, and I was pretty pleased when I left there, because I thought for not the first time, but for that particular time, that we were really getting through to the players. You know, it's the first time since we played Carlton that we've had our full side, or near enough to our full side. We played enormous, I thought, a good effort against Carlton, and we lost virtually 7 players, and 4 of those were back today, and the fellas who were bad, or not badly injured, but bad enough to affect their training, and Tony Lockett, Rod Owens and Greg Burns, virtually was 7. So, you know, Wow coming back into the ruck, and those 3 or 4 experienced players, Trevor Barker and those, were great value to our young side.
I thought today there were a few times there when perhaps the St Kilda side of earlier in the season or previous years might have folded, when Fitzroy looked like they'd kick 2 in a row and might get back into it, and yet you seem to have the answers today.
Yes, well, I think the you know, whilst it's a tragedy to lose by a point or point here and there, it does also build up a bit of character in the fellas, the frustration and the disappointment of losing, particularly that first match of the year. You keep hammering at home, well, you know, where do you want to be? Do you want to go on and win it from now, or do you want to lose it by a point or 2? You know, so I think they sort of understand now what football's about. We've got to go on. I hope that with the foundation set today will be the start for the rest of the year.
You must be very impressed with the way your backline seems to be working up. Some young players there. All of them seem to be belong to Rice. These type of players. Burke, great potential.
Tremendous, Peter. The thing is, of course, what the hardest part is for us is when you lose 3 or 4 key position players, experienced players, the young boys have got to do it themselves. And today it proved that while we had the bigger boys like the Wows and the Trevor Barkers and those boys back in positions to help these kids, you know, they've got an enormous future.
All right, Daryl, I said that perhaps this win capped off a fine week. It could be just be the beginning, the way things are looking here now.
It'll be a good weekend, put it that way.
Good work. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you.
And long live the Saints. May they have a good weekend. They deserve it. Well, back to John Nichols, and I suppose the kind thing is to say, Big John, that yes, they do have a future, but genuinely, do they?
They certainly will improve, but the players that are playing well, the young players like Nathan Burke, and they're certainly a real up-and-comers. There's no doubt about that. Winmar is one of the most exciting players I've seen the last couple of years, but the players like Spiro Corker-Millis and Peter McConville, Peter Jones, Robert Neal, these sort of players, Bradley Gotch, probably are not going to take them a long way into finals, but you know, St Kilda have obviously had to regroup and try and keep those players to give, as Daryl Baldock said, a nucleus to build around, and they're doing that. And I admire them, but I think the problem is that after probably quarter time, they made less mistakes than Fitzroy. 2 other times I've seen St Kilda this year, they've had plenty of use of the ball, but they've made so many mistakes they let their opposition get back into it. But today they didn't. It was Fitzroy who stumbled.
They don't get many wins down there at Moorabbin, although the Saints have a reasonable record there this year. It would have been rocking, I'd imagine. Big crowd there?
Well, it was probably, it should have been bigger, because it was fantastic football really the first half, and then St Kilda got on top. But with the build-up, and it was magnificent to see the 1966 St Kilda players introduced before the game, and the build-up was magnificent, and they really deserved to win.
What are your thoughts, 21 years on, of that side which won St Kilda's historic first flag?
Well, there weren't that many grey hairs there. There's a few portly ones and a few grey hairs, but no, some great players. Without going through them all, it certainly revived a lot of memories and a lot of good players.
I suppose the big debate is who was the greater, Baldock or Stewart. Do you have an opinion?
Well, different. I really couldn't separate them. To me, Stewart's probably one of the best centremen I've ever seen, and Baldock was one of the best half forwards. But as far as all round, you know, probably you can say Stewart helped to make Baldock. But you know, whether it be wet or dry, playing on a big man or whatever the conditions, Baldock was great, and so I wouldn't like to split them. They were great champions.
Stewie beat you by about a vote for the Brownlow one year, didn't he? He must have been pretty good.
Well, perhaps he deserved it more than I did.
Oh, I don't know about that. Well, what about Fitzroy? You mentioned Gary Pert coming back. Did Ross Lyon play?
Yes, he was a bit scratchy to start off with. He kicked 3 goals, which is looks good, but I'm sure, you know, it's great to see him back because he's got undoubted talent. The last 2 goals he scored were just pure class. I was a bit disappointed, as I said, persevering with Roos in the forward line. They lined up with Kapler, who to me is a dashing wingman. They lined up with Kapler as a half-back flanker on Rod Owen, and they chopped and changed a lot, probably in desperation. So, sure, they obviously need forwards, but to me, Roos is a magic centre-half-back player. You know, for the odd times he plays well. He struck Frawley today, who's a good, very good player. Frawley obviously beat him, but Roos didn't get many opportunities.
Well, just a final one. How can a team that at the end of round 8 had beaten Sydney in Sydney and really looked as if it was finals material be performing so badly?
Well, I think they just weren't really in the game after first quarter time, and I think I haven't seen a Fitzroy side fumble so badly. They kicked badly. St Kilda really put them under a lot of pressure, and giving St Kilda their full credit, they put them under so much pressure that they made Fitzroy fumble and they lost the track of the ball. Is there a rot, though, that's set in at Fitzroy, do you think? Is there something wrong? I think they're fragile, and a bit like Daryl Baldock. Fitzroy need Roos playing well, they need Rendell playing well, they need Gary Pert and those type of players to build the nucleus around. At this stage, Roos was down, Pert obviously isn't fit. Rendell, I'd say, lowered his colours in the ruck work to wow Jones. And really, if it wasn't for McIver, I think, and also Leon Harris, who both had a lot of possessions, they would have been beaten by a lot more. OK, thanks, Big Nick. We'll let you go and join your old mates from St Kilda 1966. I reckon you'd like to bend the elbow with them for half an hour before you leave Moorabbin. Well, still to come in Football Grandstand, our replays kicking off in just a moment with St Kilda and Fitzroy. Then our tribute to the Saints of 1966, followed by highlights from Hawthorn's 57-point win over Richmond at Princes Park. After that, the game of the day between Footscray and Sydney. And finally, we talked to Melbourne's Stephen Nick about the Demons' desperate 2-point loss against North at the MCG. And we'll have our marks and goals of the day on the second day of round 15 for 1987. But first up, it's to Moorabbin. And despite the fact that it was such a huge day for the Saints, Fitzroy had the better of the opening moments of the match. In fact, kicked 5 goals to 3 in the first quarter to lead by 14 points at the first change. We join it at the start of the second quarter, and the ABC's commentary team is Peter G, Jeff Leake and John Nichols.
Umpire Robinson starts the second quarter. Fitzroy going from right to left, leading by 14 points. Corcomelis cops one high. So Spiro in the middle for the Saints. Goes in the direction of Lockett. Big long lead. 2 Roys there. Free kick goes the way of Fitzroy. They run it out of defence. Having trouble picking it up. Chance for St Kilda. Neal now has to go running off after it with Graham Osborne. Throw in midway between wing and half forward for the Saints. Kicking with the breeze in this quarter. Let's see if they can make more of their opportunities in this term. Free kicks on the way. Fitzroy. Rendell out for Roos. Centre wing. Waste no time. Osborne up towards half forward, looking for brother Richard, but in front, big Wow Jones for St Kilda.
Now Wow goes for a positive kick into Burns. Lucky, dropped that badly, but Coglan helps out. And then Corcomelis takes it. St Kilda still with the football in the centre of the ground, and not a very good piece of disposal there. Winmar, Lowe's by himself. Lockett can give it back to Lowe. He did. Lovely stuff. Oh, a class piece of footy. And the Saints supporters in a very memorable weekend are on their toes and applauding loudly for that great piece of play. Lockett was good, but Lowe made the play anyway.
Yeah, Stuart Lowe certainly showing plenty of confidence for a big man running in, having him bounce even that close. I think I would have kept on running somehow.
Yes, all right, Josh. He's 18 years of age too, although in a position centre-half forward, it's a compliment to him.
Been in magnificent marking form this year, and certainly he's probably one of their leading mark getter each week.
So the Saints back to within 8 points, getting the goal just over 1.5 minutes into the term. So Jones against Rendell. Jones wins the tap. Lost there by Osborne. It's Gotch who gets it forward for St Kilda. Plenty of length in that kick. The breeze a little longer than we think. Kick off the ground from Pert. Lockett keeps chasing. Bundles Pert out of the way. And Kapler sees it go over the boundary line. So the throw in, about 65 metres out from the St Kilda goal. Lockett to do the ruck work against Rendell. The throw favours Fitzroy. St Kilda though, drive it forward. Over the back, Parkin, a good smother. Chance for them to get it out of defence through Gale. Handball onto the running Armstrong, is it? The pass just wide for Richard Osborne. Hinkley gets it back to the man who passed it. It was Thomas. Thomas up towards full forward. Over the back, almost a mark to Keane. He's claimed it, the umpire hasn't. Good tackle from the St Kilda defence. And it's against Fitzroy's Stevens. He doesn't like it. Rice got the free, and then McConville kicks it out in the full. It lands on the back of the police horse. The ball will come back to Hinkley for the kick.
Hinkley opened up in brilliant style for the Lions. Now he's 50 metres out, and the kick, you can see it sway in the air, dropping to the edge of the goal square. Eager hands. Wow, Jones was there. The Saints defending Darley at this stage. Bradley Gotch is pinned and didn't have the football.
Didn't have his shorts either.
Umpire Robinson's the ball up.
Keane against Jones. Taken by Hinkley, swung on delivery. Oh, it's been tapped straight back down to Harris, and he hasn't made the most of it. Well, I suppose he couldn't believe his luck.
Yeah, certainly Leon Harris playing his 150th game. Thought this is Christmas has come early, but he didn't capitalise on it. This is the problem with some of these sides. A bad mistake by McConville a minute earlier, kicking out of bounds on the full. You have to capitalise on the chances you get.
Well, there was McConville's kick in, Frawley, and Wow Jones takes it. Good handball to Burns, a good turf, and Burns plenty of time to move. Cunningham ran through on the outside, takes it into centre half forward. Is low there again. He is. Winmar said, leave it for me. And I think Winmar may kick it. They were 14 points down at the start of the quarter, 4 minutes to go. Quick goal to Lowe, helped out by Lockett. And they're 9 points down at this stage, and this will be Winmar's fourth kick. A star, this youngster. And it's gone past the area of the goals and dropped through from behind.
He's a very exciting player, Nicky Winmar. Certainly on the way up, but plenty of balance, plenty of courage, and all the skills on both sides of his body.
Here's the lead from Roos. Winmar, though, holds his ground. Not quite making its target. Oh, into the pocket. Here's a chance now for Owen. Acute angle. Doesn't matter. No, behind.
Wasteful football.
Yeah, I thought he threaded that one, but they inch closer.
See the shadow across the post.
Amazing, isn't it? They could have had the game well in their grasp at the moment. The Saints, a bit early to say that, of course, but they could have been leading. Instead of that, they're trailing by 7 points. The kick comes back into play. Long kick as well. Oh, fine mark there to... who's that? It's Jamie Cooper, is it?
Cooper on.
Yeah. And here's Mackay. Joppa coming up. McConville again grabs it. He's having a magical day. Down to Lowe. Sandwich between two. Spills away from him. Wendell. Long kick. Hinkley. Bumped off position. Armstrong. Oh, Richard Osborne, a very strong positive mark against Coghlan. Now he could just about kick it from here. No, he's not going to. A good smother by Coghlan. Slack play by Osborne. Long kick. Keane. No, he spilt it. Nixon will be helped out this time. Nixon takes it. Gets a long handball across to Cunningham. He'll wait for the bounce. Lovely spin. Down here to Rice. He'll chap it on. Man coming towards him. Here's Burns. Osborne bears down. Clever stuff, Burns. Good pass. Intercepted by Parkin. Beats Owen. Handball off to Neil. On to Burns. handball and foot passing. It's a delight. They're packing it when he went low. Gone past him. Kaplan. Oh, everything in it. Mistakes and good football combined. Winmar pounces on it like a cat on a mouse. Lockett! Oh, Pert right with him. Pushed him in the back. That's the second time Pert's done that. But when he pushes him in the back, he makes sure that Lockett's right on the boundary line.
Sixth pick coming up for Tony Lockett. He's kicked 1-2 so far this afternoon. His confidence for goal might be just a little down, missing ones that he normally would have kicked. But again, favours his right boot. He'll kick from about 35 metres. All leads ignored, as you'd expect. It's pretty good. Tony Lockett gets his second, and he breathes a sigh of relief, looks heavenward, and the Saints get within 1 point at the 8-minute mark of the second quarter.
Just another fumble by Kaplan, but great use of his body by Lowe, and Winmar, one ever reliable, beautiful left foot pass, pushing the back. Certainly Lockett, after missing 3 shots at the northern end of the ground, took more time, and much more like the Tony Lockett keeping of goal that we're so used to.
Shot of Wow Jones. Down to centre player Greg Burns. Quick kick. He's a courageous, gritty man, and a very tough man too, as Greg Burns. Oh, that was Burt. Good gutsy play by Tim Peakin there, and rushed in fearless. Took the mark on his chest. Plays out to an army of teammates out in the wing. Rendell a bit slow, but doesn't matter anyway. Gale gets it. Down to McIver. Onto Kaplan. They've carried it well. That's a lovely kick to full forward. Rice, the Conville. The Saints are playing really good football. And a saving mark there by Cameron.
Cameron unsure, chips for some Kilda players. 2 of them there, and almost heading off then was Burke. 15 metres now. Burke up towards Lowe. Gets one hand to it, behind the pack. Gotch over the top to Burns. He can go again to Winmar. He's going to do it himself. Yes! Greg Burns gets his first goal in his 150th league match. And he wasn't going to give that to anyone else.
Good handball by Gotch. He held it up slightly, but Burns, cool, experienced. As Peter called him, 150 games. He just kicked it so coolly. A very confident, aggressive player.
Bounce favours Jones. Used the left hand this time. Scratchineo was there. There's Corcomelis. Deal in there again for the Saints. They've got their tails up now. They were 14 points behind at the start of the quarter. Now they're leading by 5 points in the second term. Free kick going against them. It'll go to Fitzroy. Ruckman Rendell's playing quite a good match.
Driven forward by Thomas. Oh, fine pass. Hinckley's lead. 50 metres out from goal. Ken Hinckley, who kicked the first goal of the match. Going to go right up to the goal line. The high fly there from Pert, but the mark in front of beauty from Jones. Don't they love him out here? Big wow. His third grab of the afternoon. Pert's gone to full forward as Jones drives it, looking for Owen. Knocks it away from Peakin. Chance for Rendell. Speared out to Thomas from McIver. Hinckley, oh, it could have been tripped. Cunningham gets the handball across to McConville, putting under a lot of pressure. Oh, it was Frawley, in fact, he had to get rid of the ball. So the bounce is 35 metres out from the Fitzroy goal. They trail by 5 points, 12 minutes, second term.
Fitzroy's forward line, all good knock by Wow. No, it wasn't. The opposition rover Harris, and he balloons it, and it'll go. Didn't matter what Peter Conville could do, he just couldn't get there. Good play, Leon Harris, the man who kicked that goal. And Fitzroy snatched the lead and it's 41-40.
It's roving very well to Jones's head out. Great snap. Certainly Jones has got his hand to the ball a lot on the ruck. He probably hasn't used it as well as what he is capable of doing, and he's missed a few games with injury, and certainly he needs to direct his hit a lot better.
Rendell gets it down to Harris. It's dragged by Neil, and he'll get the free kick. He might call advantage now the ball's coming back. Some people don't agree. Leon Harris. He came from Mortlake. That's been a great area for Fitzroy as well, recruiting. Oh, good mark from Roos. Not quite long enough, say the fans. Paul Roos. Corner of the square. Drives it looking for Osborne. Here's a chance for Armstrong. Across the face. Over the head of Lyon running back there. He's come on from the bench.
This is the non-scoring end, which is the northern end, favoured by a very ever so slight breeze. In fact, I think the breeze is blowing from the west. Favouring the south. Corcomelis clears it well. Rendell playing a kick behind the game. In fact, he's staying around the middle. A strong to put on Kaplan by Burke. The big fellow Rendell gets it back to Osborne. Another kick up into the goal square for Keane. Wow, Jones there, and he gets it. Through his huge frame in front, knocked everyone out like knocking over 10-pin bowling, and then back to his full-back. And they switch play to the members' side of the ground now. Corcomelis measured off about 20 metres, pings it back to Conville, then on to Cunningham. Nixon just around the corner. Cunningham will go for a short one and a hard one to the centre. He does, and gets it to Grant.
Grant plays on to Nixon, who kept running, which was fine football from the half-back. Here's Burns unloading from 50 metres. And back there is Stevens, who's gone from full forward to full back. Relieves out to Thornton. Thornton can play on over the top to Osborne, but gets around instead and boots up towards Roos. Handball goes straight to Harris from Burke. McIver's handball. Lets St Kilda in. Gotch. Now he gives a Corcomelis. Long handball to the edge of the square. Chance now for Lowe. He's missed. Well, how many opportunities
he
have
had
they missed?
probably 5 options. Lockett standing on his own, another quick handball, and he tried to snap it, but still, obviously there wasn't talking to tell him he was clear, otherwise I'm sure he would have probably used the ball a lot better.
St Kilda have kicked 3 goals 3 in this quarter to the Lions 1 goal 1. And the football being contested, this is young McIver with it, his 12th kick. And he'll be top possession, get a beautiful pass to Thornton. Thornton straight up the middle. Barker's a chance here. Had it and lost it. Tries to help a mate in Nathan Burke. He's tackled strongly from behind. Holding the ball against Burke. Grabbed by Hinkley. Long one over to ruckman Rendell. Rendell's kick up into the goal square. The Perks there. Nearly a mark. Grant. Cogler at half-back. To Burns. Barker runs through. Good play, Trevor. Loose man here is Owen. He's fumbled it, sidesteps, does it twice, into the centre to Corcomelis. The Saints are playing superb football. Down to half-forward line, Winmar, too long for him. Grabbed by Gale. Backwards there to, whom is that?
Stevens has gone to full back for Pert, and it's going in the Pert direction now. Harris gets it off to Osborne. He's trying to hold, so he can draw the man Burns to give it to Pekin. They're being pushed to the boundary line. Hinkley over the top. Here's a chance for Keane. Not favoured with the left boot. It doesn't matter. Great goal. Very cool was Keane for his second. And the Lions fans, even though they might be showing it, very pleased with that run. And they've gone back to a 6-point lead.
There's plenty of handball, always under pressure, but having it 2 metres clear, 3 steps from Gary Keane, threaded the needle, magnificent goal.
The Saints got in front of Fitzroy after trailing by 14 points. But Fitzroy have fought their way back again, and they're leading by a goal. Burns, Burke, scratch a Neil, Gotch, Neil again. Saints are using the handball pretty well, but maybe a little bit too much of it. Grendel was caught, couldn't get the kick off. Corcomelis takes a handball. Owen gets it, a long kick, but they're all astray. An excitement of getting the football and kicking for goal. It's their fourth behind for the quarter.
And Owen's kicked 3.
Yeah, 3 points straight, but this is St Kilda's problem. We talk about it week after week.
Here's a chance for them. Peter Budge has come on the ground to lock it. The big fella bursts through onto the right. Yes! 3 for Tony Lockett, and nothing was going to stop him there. And the Saints back in front by a point.
Yes, watching Lockett here. Strength, a bit of pace, warding off, and a great snap over his left shoulder, but a great full forward, Tony Lockett. Owen, 3 points, 2 or 3 other St Kilda players. Stuart Lowe's wasted chances. And I think for St Kilda to win, they really have to capitalise on all those chances like that, which you make goals rather than get the easy ones.
The Saints, the 20-minute mark, second term, lead by a point. Fitzroy go forward. Here's Ruse. Oh, good piece of play here by the Lions. Lion. He's on now. The Saints come out of it okay. McConville to Frank Coughlin. Coughlin goes back from whence it came. Low. Oh, it's Peter Budge. Corcomelis doing well. Peter Budge to full forward. Fitzroy with men at work. Gale's handball's mucked. Winmar was the man who did it. He picked up brilliantly and snaps. Oh, great play. What a champion this fella is. Nicky Winmar. He missed an easy one earlier, but that was full of class.
Just watching Peter Budge coming through the centre. Scrambling play. Just keep your eye on number 7. Picking it up. Beautifully balanced. Beautiful snap. Whether it be left or right foot, certainly a player of the future, Nicky Winmar.
Something about our Aboriginal cousins, isn't it? They've got this sixth sense. He was always going to get that goal. He tapped it back between his legs and just knew. Fantastic stuff. Chance now for Corcomelis. Oh, fine smother off the boot there from Osborne. Peter Budge has given them something since coming on from the bench. Ruse. Towards half forward. Coughlin, front position. Armstrong is tackled by Coughlin. Umpire says hold to him. And the bounce is on the corner of the square. And this game really alive. To and fro. It's the Saints who have the lead at the moment by 7 points. Jones, oh, clever tap down there to Corcomelis, who's scruffed after the ball's gone. The umpire's seen it. Had to be a free kick. Lead has changed 6 times altogether, and it's been level 3 times in the match as it comes off the chest of Lowe, and this allows the Lions in. Could be a free kick there for Cameron. He got it on there to Kapler, who's thrown to the ground. Burns tries to burst through Hinkley. Umpire Robinson says throw it in. Burns looks up to Pert, who could have the ball taken off him. Well,
that's what's happened.
Must have missed the first incident.
Pert takes the kick. There's some men at work here. The Saints are really desperate in their last line of defence, and that's Coughlin being held. It didn't have the football, and now it's Fitzroy's turn to wear it. Here's Frank Ogden. Bursts forward. Kicks along on out to the opposite wing to Winmar. Oh, he's pointed by Gale. Gets the handball back to Graham Osborne and back to Gale. Gale on the half-forward line. A little chip to Osborne. It didn't carry to him, but the champion makes good. Runs into trouble. Loses it. Advantages play on as Coughlin clears it down to Winmar. About on the wing. Spins back on the left foot this time and loops the handball quickly into the centre to Corcomelis. Back to Winmar. He looks a little tired now. He's been doing a lot of running in this second quarter and ducks a head high one. It was accidental, of course. Play on, down to the forward line. St Kilda's forward pocket, and in a trace the ball has travelled from back pocket to forward pocket. Good on you, Saints, and they're leading by 7 points.
Crowd really buzzing. Action aplenty. Low goes down as Rendell. Pekin's handball through there to Thornton. Keane doesn't know where it's gone. Corcomelis. Frawley. The skipper is about to be caught. Kick falls short consequently. Thornton. Rendell can't find it between his ankles. That's Bradley Gotch. He's got the push in the back. The little man's kicked 2 this afternoon. There's the long and the short of it. Umpire having a word to Rendell. He just constantly marks out the spot to take on the mark while Gotch lines up from 40 metres directly in front. Has the breeze behind him. Oh, no mistake. 13 points up to Kilda. 23.5 minutes second quarter. 3 for Brad Gotch.
3 goals to Bradley, certainly watching quick handball from Corcomelis to Frawley, took 2 steps too long, got caught. And in the scramble, fumbled by Rendell, but in the probably a little lucky diving in underneath it, Gotch. Umpires tend not to play those nowadays, but still the goals on the board. Good luck to him.
13-point break with the Saints, about 24 minutes into this final term, and Corcomelis pushes them forward. Gale, with great judgment, charges out, marks it. Peaker on the half-back flank. A raking left footer, marked by Nixon. Been a useful player. Barker ducks the tackle and gets caught with the second one, but he'll get the free kick for a crunch around the ear. And the great veteran, one of the 7 changes that St Kilda made this week, and I have to say that the changes have been to their benefit because they're playing great footy out there, leading by 13 points.
Wobbly pass, but it gets its target. Corcomelis back inboard to Burke. His pass just too long for Gotch, but there's Winmar. Chips over the top. Away go the Saints. No, Lowe decides he'll come back. It's Owen, in fact.
And Owen, don't give it to him. He's kicked 3 behinds.
Well, he obviously likes his chances more from the standing start than on the run. 7th kick for Owen. Well, has he troubled the scorer this time? 4 behinds. And that, as we tick into time on, puts the Saints 14 points up.
Yes, it makes a difference. It's probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think, where he kicked 7 goals, 1 from centre-half forward in a magnificent solo exhibition. But these are the shots that win games for you.
You're watching Stevens, full-back, kicking back in. Tim Peakin gets a handball off. Whoops, that's Lyon. First game for almost 2 years. Did it well then, scratching the old misread it. That was Nathan Burke, the Saints. Neal again for the Saints now, and Gotch's kicked 3. Nice handball. Winmar's in trouble. Umpire was kind to him to allow that to be played on. Handball comes out to Graham Osborne. And it's Richard Osborne's coming in there. He's missed it. Burns was about to back pedal, but the turf was a little bit loose for him, and he found himself flat on his back.
Probably a little lucky because I suppose technically he didn't make any effort to get rid of the ball, even though he did fall over.
Well, Jones has been roughing superbly. He's got a great idea where his rovers are, but couldn't get it that time. Spooned out by Osborne. McIver, chance for Gotch. Met by Osborne. Richard putting the stuff in on McConville. Kick didn't get it through there on the full. Chance for Harris. The trainers dodge and weave. Frawley. Past Peaker. Here's a chance for the Saints. Owen sets up from dead in front this time. Shepherd through the wrong side. 5 behinds for Rod Owen.
Has he kicked 3 or 4 in this second quarter? 4 in this second quarter to Rod Owen, and he could have had it wrapped up for the Saints. They lead 62-47 as Stephen thumps it back into play. Rendell, a half-hearted attempt, but it was easy knocked away from him. Back of pocket, Gale carts it over the line. The throw in the extra time now.
Lowe is 23, Rendell 9. They both pull each other off it. McIver, another handball. McConville gets it back to Rice. Watch met it, but didn't trap it. Rendell did. Here's Kapler, another kick for him. The half forward, they come bearing down, knocked away by Coghlan, but here's Richard Osborne. Oh, good play from Grant. Comes loose to Hinkley. He's a clever player. 50 metres out. Back goes Frawley. Osborne gets some good shepherding. And I think it's going to be a Fitzroy free.
It's going to Lyon.
Well, he just put the shepherd in and the man went up over him and crushed him down. So it's Lyon. 2 metres in from the boundary line. 20 out. Oh, good effort. Oh, top goal from Lyon. And a very timely one as we've played 28 minutes.
Yeah, certainly first goal to Ross Lyon. It's good to see him back too, because his first game this year, he's only played 6 games altogether in his total career. Watching it there with the shepherd. Frawley over the top. Even though Osborne had the ball playing on the umpire, pulled it back, gave the ball to Lyon, who kicked truly. But Lyon dropped out of football for 12 months, and it's good to see a talented young players like that coming back into it again.
Fitzroy fighting back. They're 9 points behind the Saints. Almost siren time for half-time. Neil gets it and kicks a short one out there to Peter Budge. Here's McIver, number 17 for the Lions. He's played well. It's Nixon, Peter Budge. Bradley Gotch's kicked 3 goals. Been a very impressive player. Beautiful run there by Lockett. No one knew anything about it. He runs well for a big fella, John.
Yes, he plays in front and he's got plenty of courage. He attacks the ball, and with his strength and size, he can move a pack apart from just the one opponent. 4 marks to Lockett. 8. His eighth kick. Lining up for his 4th goal.
And the Saints 9 points down. It's a long kick from Lockett. It won't quite make it. The tallest man in the field, Matt Rendell, was standing right on the goal line there, and it was his long arm that stretched up and touched it. Now Thornton's going to kick it in. They're 10 points behind the Lions, and Thornton finds Rendell, who's played all the game on the back line from the forward line to the back, and an underground handball there to McIver. Oh, good handball here to Lowe, and he's steadies and kicks and goals. We're giving number 48 for the Saints a little bit of a rap there, and Nathan Burke, because he got a lightning handball away then. But good on you, Lowe. Bit of poise there.
Yes, it was poise. He almost had to kick the ball standing still, but Fitzroy have got themselves under pressure. A typical South Australian handball underneath your legs, which sometimes does get you into trouble, but almost standing still 30 metres out, snapped truly. But the Lions have found themselves fumbling a lot more when they weren't in the first quarter, because St Kilda are putting them under pressure.
And twice they've given away goals trying to get it out from full back with short passes. As Burns' handball's intercepted by Ruse. Off he goes to Thomas. In short to Osborne. Oh, good spoil there from Coghlan. There's a very timely hand, and his teammate has got a free kick. Up gets Trevor Barker. Centre half back. Oh, he's almost played on. Now he goes in the direction he initially intended, towards Burke. Knocks the ball away from Thomas. Owen shoved across the boundary line to end the first half.
7 goals to 3 by the Saints for the quarter, and a 16-point lead at half-time. Final quarter action shortly.
In Sports Arena this Sunday, Old King Cole goes supersonic in Sydney. High jumper Chris Stanton raises her sights and takes aim at the steroid subculture. A football umpire hears no evil, speaks no evil, but doesn't miss a thing. Aussie hockey king Rick Charlesworth is our studio guest, and Mr. Motocross Craig Dack bounces back from a stack.
The Saints increased their lead marginally in the third quarter, and we join the final term 11 minutes in. St Kilda 22 points to the good.
He's certainly a great full forward.
Paul Roux just gave a lead the other side of the ground, and Lockett says, whilst he's taken that mark, and he gets a lead at centre-half forward by Corker-Mill, it's a bit long for him. Now Roux playing at centre-half forward, kicks that from the half-back, so he's trying everything to lift the Lions. Good tackle. Saints into attack. Peter Barge beaten by Kapler. Corcomelis and Gale crash. His number 7's really hurt.
Just an arm thrown back there by Corcomelis. It was accidental. It caught Gale flush on the mouth. Corcomelis plays on, and Stevens written down by Rocket. It's a bit unnecessary, Tony, but he let him know that he was there. Stevens doesn't gain much forward. Now with the kick, Coghlan. Pressured by Richard Osborne and gives away the free kick. Advantage will be paid, I'd say. Burke drives St Kilda to half forward. Peter Budge is tripped. Picked up by Armstrong. And Kapler now drives over the centre. Stretches come out for Gale. The mark's taken by Keane. Umpire's bringing it back. And I think they might be able to stop play while the man's taken off on the stretcher.
Keane will take the kick again. Bit of momentum going there. There's Osborne and poor old Michael Gale. You saw that. Absolutely accidental.
He tackled McConville, whose arm sort of threw back and just caught him in the face. So let's hope the young Tasmanian is okay. No one likes to see players go off on the stretcher, but he hasn't moved since the incident.
Keane's going to take the kick. It was his anyway. There's not too many St Kilda players sitting back there in the goal square, really. Maybe they think that there are enough there, or he won't make the distance. He's got to kick it from about 55, 58 metres out. They're 22 points behind as they were at the start of the quarter 30 minutes ago. It's been a very even scoring last term. And he's hooked that one around a bit, just in front of the square. Roos! That's Rice. Tunnel balls it out. Saints don't look as though they're going to lose this. They have the answers there all the time. And been very strong in defence.
Ryan and Grant. And it goes against Peru. Grant off to McConville, put him under heaps of pressure. No one cooler under pressure than Peter McConville. Right behind. No play-ons now the call. No mark as Stevens chips it forward for Thornton. 65 metres out from goal. Huge pack, and it's a mark for Jones. He's been supreme today. Away to McConville. And he finds Burke. The Saints out of trouble.
Burke's on the half-back flank. They're leading by 22 points. Quick one down to Scratch and Eel. Settling very well since he came across from Geelong. 200 plus games. A little chip on a Frank Coghlan. Played against Richard Osborne today. And then up to Joffa Cunningham. Thomas almost for Fitzroy. Ball up.
Crowd called ball on Rendell. Gotch got it forward for the Saints. That bounce taken by Cooper, and the pass finds Kapler. Thornton's ball off to Stevens. Back inboard to the running Pert, who's come back on, so the knee's okay, obviously. Cooper's handball puts Richard Osborne under pressure, but he heard Jones coming. Kicks to the edge of the square. Frawley.
Play on is called.
Touch, was it, John? Did you say it?
I didn't say touch, but the umpire called play on straight away, so it's...
Looked like a fair enough mark.
Maybe his teammate takes it.
Easily let those go, don't they?
There were a few hands on the ball at the same time, even though Frawley finished up with it.
Well, the ball sitting right on Fitzroy's goal line. Big wow. Ball finds Neil with a beautiful backhand conniption. And down towards Owen. Not Guhay. Cunningham and Thomas battling out. Good play, Thomas. The Saints are desperate. They're not frightened to throw themselves on the ball. They've done it all day. Didn't get in front for the second quarter. The lead's changed 6 times, been level 3 occasions, and here's Neil at half-back.
His 12th kick, a big torpedo punt. Peter Budge! No one can haul that one-hander in. Sat upon is Winmar. Goes long for Lockett. Oh, that's a good kick. Oh, almost got it off the ground. Lockett over the head. Yes! No. Oh, wanted to will that one through.
That would have been the great effort.
Doug Wade special, that one.
Yes, he just wanted to level up his scores. Now he's kicked 4 goals 4, so he's got the same.
It looks much better in the record, doesn't it?
Well, there's Pert kicking it out. Kapler kicks it on. Burke stole it from Parkin. Down to low. Here's Peter Budge again. Wheels around very slowly. Throws it high on his boot to give it a good lift over into the pocket. Pert back on in this final term. Shoots it out to that flank position. Osborne. Graham Osborne. Up to King. He was covered. Grant for the Saints. Tucked it back and has another go at it. Dean Halbert shoots it out to McConville. Great player, McConville. All over his back, but good umpiring.
Well, perhaps McConville could have got one earlier, but the Saints fans don't mind. It wasn't a good handball from Neil. Put Winmar under all sorts. Coghlan wrestling with Cameron, or Cooper it is. Bounce just forward to the centre. Fitzroy in attack. He looks worried. I don't think he's a Saint. 23-point lead for St Kilda. Nowhere to go for Graham Osborne there.
Final quarter, 90 minutes gone. St Kilda leading by 23 points. And Wow Jones must be proud as Kapler breaks away, smothered right on his boot. He's played pretty well just the same. 37 was Rice for St Kilda, a good player. That was Armstrong. And pinched by Corcomelis. Out to Peter Budge. That's a great mark. Into the centre to Winmar, who's striding through. Too far in, he's 80 metres from goal, and he blows it up there. Lockett! Hurt, too far out, flew. Judgment was all astray. Lockett had all bases covered for his 8th mark. He's kicked 4 goals 3. St Kilda lead by 23, and surely if he kicks this, it's all over.
Yes, I think even at the 20-minute mark, Fitzroy are just not playing well enough to get back in the game. Apart from that, but Lockett, he deserves make his 5th goal if he kicks it, and he deserves everyone because he gives them a focal point to kick to with Stuart Lowe and Lockett.
And he's kicked it, John.
5 goals for Lockett. Certainly 5 to Lockett, 6 to Gotch, 4 to Winmar, 2 to Stuart Lowe. It sort of gives them 4 very good scoring forwards, and I think the Doc feels confident.
He's taking the glasses off, yeah, sure sign.
Well, they've been talking about today, the runner, they've been talking about the great
runner copped a drenching there.
He's not quite as red in the face as he normally is, Doc, at this time of the game.
They want more, though, the Saints fans.
Just looking at the records, I see Fitzroy have won their last 3 games against St Kilda. In 1985, St Kilda defeated Fitzroy both times they met, so certainly St Kilda fans are...
29-point lead for St Kilda. Jones does it again. Stevens might get a free. Yes, he will. Listen to the crowd boo. Oh, no, they keep quiet. They're very un-St Kilda-like. They must think they've got it won. Thornton across to Armstrong. Oh, good mark, Keane. Over the top, yes. Well, they're booing for me there, but that was a mark. Keane directly in front. 30 out. Yeah. Well, St Kilda missed opportunities galore early, and if they kicked those, it could have been over long ago. But it's been a very exciting, entertaining match full of highlights. It looks like Evans might be coming on for the first time this afternoon for the Saints. As Coghlan gets the handball, gives it back to Barker, and the Saints are over the middle.
Evans is coming on to replace Joffa Cunningham, and Peter Budge storms forward and kicks the goal. It's been a big second half to St Kilda. His first goal, and he's tried very hard.
Yes, great goal, great pace. Look, Barker coming through, long kick, a loose ball, but a good pick-up, 3 steps, 40-metre goal. It was great play by Stephen Peter Budge.
I'll give him another name. John Stephen Peter Budge, it probably is.
There was, I'm going back, that's dating myself, there was a Stephen Peter Budge with us at Carlton. I should have got the name right, but the Christian name right.
McIver. Good mark from Grant. There he is, John Peter Budge.
Look at the record from Beverly Hills, and certainly that's the way it's a very glamorous game.
Hollywood performance. Oh, high tackle there on Gotch. Two
bad
measure.
tackles.
Yeah, the smaller man, and they went at him, and of course, we easily grab him around the head. He's had 12 kicks, about a top performance from young Bradley. And 6 goals, of course. And doesn't he kick the football well? Oh, crikey, that was almost a mark to Owen, Rodney Owen. Kapler keeps it in. Stevens for Fitzroy. Thomas back to Thornton. The ball's still in play, it's still on its nose. Corcomelis rescues it. Gotch. Evans. Peter Budge again. Owen. Burns across to Scratch and Neil.
Gee, I didn't think that ball was ever going to go over the boundary.
Definitely not, yeah.
I think there was about 10,000 St Kilda supporters blowing it back in.
Lowe wins the tap. Cameron, a high one, looking for Lyon. Over the top, oh, good mark taken by McIver. And he has hardly put a foot wrong today, or a hand. 11th kick for Scott McIver. Gets it across to Cooper. Keen's his target. Good play from McConville. And Nathan Burt now. The two couple set sail. 2 against 1. Favours Fitzroy. Kapler gets some shepherding from Pert. Taking it back into the pocket. Handball from Cameron. Harris has been pretty indecisive today. Finally gets it away to Pert. Spilt over there, the mark. And under there is Scratch and Neil somewhere. Cunningham and Nixon happy, I think, to watch the rest out from the bench.
And it's on St Kilda's forward line now. Here's Coghlan, been a good player. Played against Richard Osman. But Osman played brilliant football to kick 4 goals, but he's been very quiet in this last quarter. There's Thomas for Fitzroy. To Roos. We seem to be really out of position at full forward, not enough room to move around. He's at the half-forward line now, and that ball just inside touch will be thrown in. Fitzroy's forward line. But there's not enough time for them to make up a 34 deficit. About 5 minutes to go.
34 points, equal with the biggest lead they've enjoyed this afternoon, the Saints. Drew's got it down there to Lyon. Quick kick, and here's Brad Gotch. Biggest goalker of the afternoon. Evans did that nicely. He's fresher than anyone else, though. Oh, good pass to Lowe. Evans goes past. The handball instead to Winmar. I think it was destined for Evans. Winmar stole it. And good defence there from Thornton to thump it away from Burns. Ross Burns. Well, I've got the nose mixed up. He used to play in Tassie. Greg Burns.
He's hurt, Burns, but he's like a boxer. He's not showing it. He's really stung in the thigh. Here's Owen now, and there's a Fitzroy man waiting for it to come down. Oh, great.
Wouldn't have swapped places with him.
No, and he didn't take his eyes off the football either, did he? Now he swings it across to his mate there, and Steve's on the other side. It was his 10th kick. Stevens out to Kapler. It's all over though. Fitzroy looking good at their finishing it on and running well. It should have happened in the second and the third quarters. Regrettably for them. And Ross Thurton caught him. Another good player, Stevens, from the full-back position to the centre now. To Keane. Good mark this time.
Well, Burns has just gone off the ground. He can't come back on because he didn't go off through the interchange area. Ruse almost the mark, a goal to Lion. Three goals to Lion, and he's a very welcome acquisition for the Lions. Back in again.
Yes, probably a half-forward flank. Well, a good attempt by Ruse, but well read by Lion. Certainly, he's played very little football at all in the last 2 years, and Fitzroy will be glad to see him back because they look like losing him at one stage, talking about poaching complaints with other clubs trying to get him, but he is a real player of the future.
I don't think Burns will come back on anyway. Though, look at that ice on the knee.
Yeah,
I
it
think
didn't
it's
look
okay.
too good, did he? Yeah. Widmer. Nick held and gets a kick off anyway. And here's Peter Boucher. He's got a good feel for where being there at the right time. And he's missed it.
But by that stage, the Saints could afford the luxury of missing a shot that otherwise should have gone through, as they coasted to a 34-point win, always in control after half-time, and the big second quarter set it all up. 7 goals to Brad Gotch against his old team, 5 to Lockett, 4 to Winmar for the Saints. The only black mark was that Rod Owen was reported on a striking charge. For Fitzroy, 3 each to Lyon and Osborne, and 2 each to Ruse and Keane. Well, it was right that the Saints should win today, as the 20 men who won the St Kilda Football Club, their only premiership back in 1966, came together to celebrate the 21st birthday of that Premiership Cup. I suppose, strictly speaking, the birthday should be celebrated on Grand Final Day, but it's highly unlikely that the Saints will be playing that day. And besides, back in '66, Moorabbin was the home of the 20, and that's where they gathered today. Well, here's our tribute to the 20 Saints who came marching in on that glorious September day in 1966.
Other than winning and realising that we have won on that particular day, was that when the scores were levelled in the last quarter on a couple of occasions, just the deafening sound that the crowd made, that it was as though the sound was reverberating around, something was going to go off. It was,
Kid throws the ball in, up high with Steer, down towards Baldock. Baldock shoots the ball high in the air, and they set themselves. Hayes again from behind.
I can remember when we ran around the ground after the game with the Premiership Cup, the thing that I had trouble sort of coming to grips with was looking into the crowd and seeing the number of people, and they were elderly people in their 60s and 70s and 80s that were just sort of sitting stunned in their seats and crying. And
Bounces the ball, the score's level.
Minot grabbed the ball from a knockout from Brian Minot, and he was tackled and handballed it clear, and I just sort of said, oh, there's the ball, and I moved through the lines and grabbed it and kicked it towards the goal. I don't think I even saw the goals, and I certainly don't know how far out I was, but as the years go by, the kick gets longer and longer. Then Bobby Murray took that sensational mark that really saved the game. If the point won it, that mark saved the game, I'm sure.
it was really like any other mark that was taken during the day. For mine, I think that the mark that a player took in the first quarter was just as important. It's just the timing of the mark, I suppose, that makes it just that little more important in other people's eyes.
Been for St Kilda in this game and in the preliminary final. Murray, there's the
Now, 20 years later, we really appreciate it more than we did then. It really does mean something to the individual and the club now, I think. It's a great feeling to be part of it.
Well, how do you follow an act like that? I've got to pay my tribute to Ken Greenhill, who edited that little package together. He was telling me earlier this afternoon, great Collingwood supporter that he is, it's one of the few games after which he's cried, as did his father, and I reckon that one brought a tear to a few St Kilda eyes tonight. Well, when Fitzroy reversed its 5-game losing streak last week, their fans hoped that the Roys might have put their poor form behind them. But as David Parkin told Jeff Leake after today's loss, the malaise seems to be running deep.
But we weren't able and haven't been able to contend with a committed side. Anybody who's been really committed has found us out, and I suppose that's my responsibility as a coach. And what I haven't enjoyed at all over the last few months is that our performances have been poor, but our approach has been, in my opinion, fairly ordinary or fairly insipid. And that's not what we've built or what this club has built over a long period of time. And certainly last year we had learnt to fight and bite and scratch and kick and do those things to get there. So it's not as if we can't. But maybe the effort in doing it, Jeff, somewhere along the way, took its toll. It often happens that way, but we're certainly better than we're showing. But the commitment, particularly at the workplace, has been fairly minimal in my opinion, and the only way we can change that is to change our personnel, and we'll certainly be doing that. And we've tried over a number of weeks. You'll see that we've changed 3 and 4. I know St Kilda changed 7 this week, but we've changed 3 or 4 in most weeks until we can get people who are prepared to make some of the sacrifices which I think are necessary when you're playing at this level.
Stony silence in the background in the Fitzroy rooms. 5 straight losses, a win, but another loss today against the lowly Saints down at Moorabbin, and it doesn't look too good at all for the Roys. Well, 65 minutes of football action still to come in this afternoon's Football Grandstand, and in a moment we go to the game of the day at VFL Park between the Bulldogs and the Swans. But at 7 o'clock, of course, at the end of this program, Edwin Marr will be along with ABC News, and here he is with the headlines.
Thanks very much, Tim. Yes, coming up in tonight's news at 7, the Prime Minister and Opposition Leader on the campaign trail in New South Wales, while Sir Joe Bjelke-Petersen raises the Nationals flag in Ballarat. The search for 9-year-old Patrick Hildebrand officially called off. Klaus Barbie, the butcher of Lyon, found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. The Atlantic crossing by hot air balloon makes it, but only just. And in sport, it's going to be a late night for us all because Pat Cash has become the first Australian in a Wimbledon men's singles final since 1974. I'll have the details at 7.
I've been thinking. I thought I might look for a job.
Darling, you are quaint. Penelope Keith and Jeffrey Palmer in a bright new comedy series, Executive Stress. Funny business with a modern working couple.
I was earning more than you, and it would have been successful if you hadn't got me pregnant every 2 minutes.
Caroline, I have to travel with these people. Followed at 8:30 by the new resident at number 10.
I see it all now. A new deal for Britain. Hackers' grand design.
Isn't conscription a rather courageous policy?
Courageous? Oh, my God, is it?
Open government, Prime Minister. Freedom of information. We should always tell the press freely and frankly anything that they could easily find out some other way.
2 great comedies, plus the irreverence of the very much alive late Clive James, starting Monday on ABC.
All makes the footy seem pretty serious. Well, coming up, the match of the day, but just before that, highlights from today's game at Princes Park, where Hawthorn had a 57-point win over the Tigers. And Russell Morris, a purple patch for Hawthorn in the opening quarter. The Tigers started well enough with Wilson snapping a great goal. But the Hawks were too strong. 5 of their 7 goals in the first quarter coming from free kicks. And Morris contributed 3. The Hawks again dominated in the second term. And a great piece of teamwork results in a goal to Platten. The reigning premiers were doing as they pleased, and at half-time the margin was a massive 66 points. The third term was a lacklustre affair. The Tigers managed to boot 4 goals, however the Hawks increased their lead to 70 points. Richmond outscored Hawthorn in the last quarter, thanks mainly to Dale Waitman, who booted 3 goals. But the Hawks were cruising in second gear and finally ran out the easiest of winners by 57 points. There's the final score, 4 goals each to Morris and Platten for the Hawks, and 3 each to Waitman and Wilson for Richmond. Well, when did Footscray and the Swans, or South Melbourne as they used to be, last play in the match of the day? Not a bad trivia question, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what the answer is. I suppose match of the day involves a subjective judgment, but it wouldn't be too often that a Footscray Swans game has been billed as the star attraction. Well, it was unlikely this year that it would ever happen after the Swans put paid to Footscray in round 2 by 108 points, and yet the Bulldogs have really transformed their fortunes over the last 11 or 12 weeks. They'd won 7 straight going into this game. A win in this match would give them the longest sequence of wins, bar none, in this 87 season. And the Swans were feeling the hot breath of the Bulldog on their neck as they were battling to hold down third position on the ladder. Well, Footscray carried their form of the last 7 weeks into the first half. They led by 10 points at quarter time, 11 at half time, and we joined the big game with 27,000 at VFL Park at the start of the second half. And our commentators are Drew Morfitt, Ian Robertson and Bernie Quinlan.
Second half about to start at Waverley. Footscray lead by 11 points. The Bulldogs kicking from right to left. A mad scramble of players after that centre bounce, and a free kick being paid to Paul Hawke for the Swans. Pretty important quarter for both sides. Hawke kicks it out wide. Thrip has in support. Caught well. Now there's a chance for Footscray to clear, but a free kick being picked out of it. It's going to Holden for the Swans. Outside 50 metres. And Craig Holden with the ball. Kicks it long, right into the square. It's punched away by the Footscray defenders over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in about 10 metres around from the Swans goal. Mark Browning looking rather anxious. Graham Cordy, his counterpart on the bench for the Swans. Bound throw in. Footscray leading by 11 points. Purser down to McGuinness. McGuinness's hand pass out wide. Chance for Wallace. Kicks it off the ground. Now he takes it with him over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in about 55 or 60 metres around from the Footscray goal. We've just started the third quarter. Footscray lead by 11 points.
Bayes gets into the back of Purser and gives away the free kick. Andrew Purser at half-back flank for Footscray. Up towards the wing, Royal, who's played an outstanding game, takes the mark. And Brian Royal with 11 possessions in the first half. If I was forced to have a guess, I would have thought more. However, he's really rode beautifully. Coleman slides it back to Carroll. A mighty kick by Dennis Carroll. Purser's there. Good mark.
Steadying mark by Purser. He kicks straight across ground. Looking out for Brian Cordy. He plays on. Further out towards half-back. Kicks it even wider. Looking for Hawkins. He overruns it. Perhaps the knee just giving him a little bit of trouble. Neagle, his opponent, over the top. Chance for Williams. Oh, he slips at the crucial stage. Liberatore, handball. Here's a chance for Neagle. Gets past Wallace, or gets the hand pass away. Hawke's little kick up towards the half-forward line, marked by Williams. Inboard, he goes to Dennis Carroll. Carroll approaching the 50-metre line. Kicks a long one into the square, looking for Kappa. Up over the top. Kappa can't mark. Goes after it again. Purser, here's a chance for Holden. He hands it to Murphy. Murphy's kick over his left shoulder is a goal. Just what the Swans needed in the first 3 minutes. They've drawn first blood, and the difference now 5 points.
Yes, he's been a good player all day, Murphy. He started off on Doug Hawkins on the wing, and he's always looked dangerous. But the Swans have come out with a renewed lease of life after half-time, and looking tremendously desperate and determined to get back on terms with Footscray.
And the margin now back to 5 points. And the trend of the match doesn't really sound like a 5-point lead to Footscray. It should be more. McGuinness in there fighting for it. And just as Healy's about to take it away, just 6 possessions in the first half to Jared Healy.
Been tagged by Mark Aythorne.
Aythorne's done well. Taken a while to get it out of here. Eventually Wallace does. Tui, who's been a good player. Up towards Bayes. Not out of the centre square yet. Mark Bayes, a raking left footer. Not as long as some of his kicks have been. Off hands it goes to Morwood. He can put them in front. He has. Three goals to Tony Morwood. And would you believe it, the Swans lead by a point.
Yes, and a very dangerous forward, Tony Morwood. He's kicked 3 goals himself. And apart from Kappa, he's probably one of the only forwards who can kick goals for the Swans. But here he goes, very clever on the left foot. And a beautiful shot at goal to give the Swans a lead. But I think Michael Byrne's been moved from centre-half forward, and Mark Bayes there is making a little bit of difference.
Swans could nearly go forward again. Healy had the ball. Tackled. by McGuinness. Umpire Cameron deems he should take control and will bounce. Darren Baxter warming up for the Bulldogs on the boundary line. Bounce in the centre. Purser. Chance for the Swans. Murphy paddling along in front. Gets the handball away. Tui's under pressure. Rance is there for Footscray. Tui dives back on it. Umpire Cameron will bounce. In his usual position of lecturer is Peter Cameron. Big smile on his face. So something funny must have been said. Bounce. Here's Cousins. High over the top. The Swans player. Here's a chance now for Murphy. Murphy's handball. Intercepted by Eccleston. He gets through. Kicks it towards half forward. Mark will be taken nice and safely by Neil Cordy, playing against his old side. He plays on. Kicks it into the centre. Just over the head of Dennis Carroll. Backing up well as Williams. Handball to Neagle. Oh, he crashes his way through. He should have been stopped. Too easy did he get through, Neagle. Plays on now. Kicks it towards centre half forward. Kappa takes the mark. 45 metres out. Directly in front. Anyone else, a real chance to kick the distance, but a question mark with Warwick Kappa.
Yes, this distance will test him. He'll be kicking from about just inside maybe the 50-metre line, or just about right on it.
High ball, good drop punt, right up to the line. Quick kick at it by the Swans. Can't break clear, can't get through. Rush behind to the Swans. Free kick, being kicked out of it. Umpire Carey, well, not a free kick. He's just coming in to tell players to quieten down a bit. All clear. Goal umpire signals a rush behind the Swans, and they lead by 2 points.
Still 17 scoring shots to 14. Footscray leading on that score, but down by 2 points on the scoreboard. Neagle now on Hawkins. Good tackle by Wallace. Comes to Williams. A free kick to Wallace. Holding the ball on Neagle. And the umpire coming in to separate them with a crowbar again. Williams thinks it's his. And a 15-metre penalty against Greg Williams, who then further compounded the error by throwing it over the head of Steve Wallace, and it becomes officially a 30-metre penalty, unofficially 50.
Well, he wouldn't have much chance of getting 3 votes from that umpire, surely. Wallace with the ball on centre wing. Shocking kick. Henwood takes the mark. Dennis Carroll. More effective kick with the left foot. Up towards Bays. Punched away by Foster. Williams a chance. Handball. Intercepted by McGuinness. Right foot kick close to the boundary line. No mark taken. Chance for Carroll. Playing well for his side. Gives the handball back to Henwood. Henwood slow. Left foot kick. Oh, great mark taken by Murphy. Plays on. Williams. Hand pass. On to Hawk. Inside 50 metres. Goes for goal with a long one. Offline. Out of bounds on the full free kick to the Bulldogs. The Swans lead by 2 points. 8 minutes into the third quarter. Michael Ford to kick in for the Bulldogs.
Towards the outer side where a big pack gathers. And Peter Foster drags down another. He's taken 8 marks for the match, which is clearly more than the next best on the ground. I reckon next best is Tui with 5. Here's another 15-metre penalty against the Swans. So Peter Foster on the move as he takes the kick. Rance almost got it at the second grab. He and the ball hit the ground and the boundary line at the same time. A throw-in.
Cousins and Coleman up over the top. Henwood. Hawkins and Williams struggling to gain possession. Now Neil Cordy. Handball over the boundary line. On purpose, according to umpire Cameron. And free kick will go to Footscray to be taken by Wallace. He's just slightly forward of the wing. Swans have come out with a lot more spirit in the opening minutes of the third quarter. Wallace has kicked to half forward. Carroll, big punch from behind. Now he goes after it again and gains possession. Chance for Hawke, he overruns it, goes after it again. Liberatore in there, but a free kick has been given to Hawke, and I'd say it was A for effort by Paul Hawke.
Short pass to Neil Cordy. getting a running game going now, the Swans. Murphy breaks away beautifully. Top play by David Murphy. Long to Kappa. Underneath it. Byrne at the back of him. In goes Foster to win another possession. He'll get a free kick against Warwick Kappa. Peter Foster started.
Foster kicks it straight across the face of goal. Making good position was Ford, and he's got a little bit of space. Oh, he ducked and weaved and then went straight the way he was going. He actually fooled Tony Maud. Kicks it towards half forward. It's a poor kick. Rebound football could come off for the Swans. Toohey gets the kick away up towards half forward. Oh, diving attempt by Craig Holden. He couldn't quite grasp it. And over the boundary line, a throw-in will take place. Half forward flank for the Swans.
Well, what Foster is doing for Footscray, Toohey is doing for the Sydney Swans. Free kick to Purser. Grabbed in the ruck contest. Purser's kick up to centre wing to Cousins. Good mark in front of Carroll. Playing on well. Look out! Cronin caught by Healy. And Gerard Healy's going to win a kick, which is a rare occurrence.
Healy's free kick on centre wing. Up towards half forward. Chance for Bays. Had a good run at it. Swings around. Left foot kick to half forward. Great mark by Tony Maud. Short kick. Oh, was nearly too high for Hawke. Lesser Putty's been penalised by umpire Carey. Well, one wonders. I mean, that goes on all the time, surely.
Yes, I think the umpire may have overreacted on that one. There really wasn't a lot in it. There it is again. I think he was entitled to tackle him because Hawke looked as if he may have been thinking about playing on, running around under that left foot. Nevertheless, there it is.
Hawke kicks the goal for the Swans, and they lead by 8 points. And we're nearly 12 minutes into the third quarter. And the Swans looking a lot better in those 12 minutes.
Yes, they've lifted their game since half-time. They've come out looking a completely different side, and Footscray have really struggled to get that ball past their half-forward line. And on the occasions they have had it down on the forward line, Dennis Carroll has been supreme, and Henwood has really backed him up very well also.
In this quarter, the Swans have kicked 3-1 to nothing and lead by 8 points. 12 and a half minutes into the third term. Purser wins the tap. It goes to Healy. Out to Williams. Backwards he goes to Coleman. Up to centre half forward. Here's Hawke again. Maloney. Good tackle. Kappa going away from goal. He's buried against Ford. And it's a 15-metre, I think. Oh, well, the umpire dashing back, but he's not moving the man on the mark. So Kappa will have to kick from outside 50. So they're going to need to scrounge the ball somehow up in the goal square because he won't make it. There's Michael Ford right over the top of him, and Kappa's head went just about under grass level. Not a bad kick by Kappa. Byrne in there. Footscray keep it in the field of play. Foster again. They should name a beer after him. Is that popular? And it comes off the fists and goes out of bounds.
Third quarter, nearly 14 minutes. And the Swans leading by 8 points. Oh, a big attempted punch there by Neil Cordy. Free kick, throwing the ball, and the free kick will go to Footscray, to the Swans. Will be taken by Tony Morwood, right on the 50-metre line. It's off the side, uncharacteristic kick by Tony Morwood, close to the boundary line, and it now goes over for a throw-in. 6 metres around from the Swans' goal. 9-6 plays 7-10. The Bulldogs have looked very, very lethargic in the 13 minutes so far in this third quarter.
Throw in, won by Purser. Kappa somehow hands it to teammate Murphy, who hooks back over his shoulder and brings up a behind David Murphy. And did you know that Footscray's last goal was at the 13-minute mark of the second term? So they've gone for longer than a quarter without a goal.
Kick in by Ford, Members side half-back flank. No mark taken. Cronin dispossessed pretty easily, goes after it again. Can't break clear, and umpire Cameron will bounce. It's about 70 metres out from the Swans' goal. And the Bulldogs' smaller players have been conspicuous by their absence at the start of this third quarter, particularly McGuinness, Liberatore and Petraglia. Swans player held when he didn't have the ball was Murphy. He'll play on. Well, he was nearly going to until umpire Carey came in from the side and told David Murphy to go back and kick over the man on the mark. It's a good kick by Murphy too, looking for Kappa, punched away by Ford, chance for Bays, tries to flip the hand pass out. Now Hawke, shot for goal by Hawke, is home. Sensational goal for the Swans, kicked by Paul Hawke. It's their 10th, and they now lead by 15 points after trailing at half-time by 11.
Yes, Paul Hawke's been a good player all day for the Swans, and good bullocking work by the Swans forwards. 19 possessions to Hawke, and he's been tremendous value, as well as David Murphy. They've been the two really top players for the Swans to get them going in this third quarter.
Purser wins the tap. Royal fumbles. Whistle's gone to Footscray, free to Brian Royal. And the Footscray fans, ironic cheers. Royal's kick up towards half forward. Put it out wide. That's an excellent mark taken by Murray Rance. Long way out from goal. Over 60. Rance's kick in the direction of Beasley. He's swamped, but over the top goes Cousins and drags down a big one. And Richard Cousins now right in front. And 6 marks he's taken. I reckon this is probably his best display in his first season of VFL footy. Footscray?
Well, that was a very strong mark, that one, because Carroll came from behind and tried to spoil, but it was a very strong one-grabber.
And a chance for Footscray's first goal in about 33 minutes of football, but he sprayed it. That should have been a gimme.
Yes, just probably the pressure showing a little bit on Footscray. Things that you can do quite easily when things are running well for you aren't quite as easy when the pressure's being applied.
Kick into half-back, marked by Neil Cordy. The Swans are playing with a lot more confidence. He plays on, kicks it towards the wing. Holden's made good position. He plays on, forced to kick with the left foot, looking for Bays. The loping Bays, he can't control it. He's got 3 against 1, but he gets the hand pass away to Tony Morwood, who goes for goal and puts it through. 4 goals for Tony Morwood. And the Swans have kicked away. They now lead by 20 points. And have they turned this game around in the 17 minutes that have transpired since half-time?
Oh, Footscray can't get into this at all in this third quarter. They've been completely outplayed by the Swans. And there's Morwood finishing it off, kicking his 4th goal, and that's 4 goals straight to Tony Morwood. So it's been a pretty good performance by him on the forward line.
Interesting to see Petraglia and Brian Cordy both on the bench for Footscray. 2 of their very, very important players in the 7 wins that they've had.
Centre square infringement, and the free kick goes to Purser. Slips it over to Royal, but his kick's ill-directed. He gave it to Neil Cordy, used to be a teammate. Got a tip for you, Choco. He's not anymore. Up the centre wing. Good mark to Coleman. .73 plays 53. Swans in front. Morwood in front as well. Comes off to Foster. Nobody there for Footscray. Chase on for Wallace. He might just get there first. Oh, great pick-up. And the pass up the ground to Rance. Tries to keep it in. And does so. Henwood comes back at it. Rance still going. And kicks it out of an opponent's hands. Hawkins quickly to Cousins. Back to Hawkins. Good interchange, but it's all the Swans here. Neil Cordy to Healy.
Healy over the top to Toohey. He's caught with the ball. Could be penalised. Play on, says the umpire. Liberatore looking for the free kick. But the ball goes over the line and we'll have a throw-in. Mickey Malthouse looking very worried. Cousins over the top, gets the tap out. Where are those Footscray little players? Healy off the ground. Here's a chance for the Bulldogs. Up to centre half forward. Cronin, high flyer at the back. Rance gets around onto the right. Now the left foot. Kicks into the pocket. Looking for Cronin, and Cronin takes the mark in front of Thripp. He'll need a good long kick to score from here. 40 metres out.
It'd have to be a chance, Robbo, because he's an excellent kick on that left foot, Phil Cronin. He'll be kicking from about 45 metres out, and the wind not a great part of the day. So
he already kicked one goal. He goes with the left foot and puts it through. Beautiful kick by Cronin. Second goal to him, and the Bullies get that little bit closer. 14 points, 11-7, plays 8-11.
Yes, and a badly needed goal from Footscray, because they just have not been able to get the ball up on the forward line at the start of this third quarter. The Swans have found another gear, and they've really come out looking at a completely different side since the half-time interval.
.20 minutes gone in the third quarter. Healy comes backwards through the pack. Kick touched off the boot, but over the shoulder of Hawke. And it could nearly pole him boats, this one. Hawke onto Holden, up to Kappa, but the mark taken by Ford. Breaks away to Eccleston. 50 metres out, Hawthorn getting one of his rare possessions, but he's given his opponent few. Eccleston's kicked to centre wing. Ball hits the ground. And number 22 is Mark Cullen for Footscray, fighting with Neagle for the ball, a baller.
Petraglia, a chance to come back on the ground for the Bulldogs. Cousins and Coleman. Hawke. Coleman thrown out of the way by Cullen. It's an unlikely looking incident. Mark Cullen, not very big, but big Coleman. And we'll have a bounce on centre wing, up over the top. A good punch away by Neil Cordy. Maloney, kick around the corner to the wing. Oh, well gathered. Oh, brilliant play. Royal goes after it again. Covered in the white paint from the sports play sign. And Royal does well. Kicks it towards centre half forward. Thrip. Crashed into by Beasley. Play-ons is the umpire. Liberatore gets the handball out. Beasley throws himself on it. Strong play by Carter. Kick off the ground by Quirk. The Swans out of trouble. Williams to Toohey. Toohey out to the wing. Chance for Bays. Bays over the top. Here's Murphy, who's been a tremendous player all day for the Swans. A long handball. Chance for Quirk. Ridden into the ground. Play-ons is the umpire. It was an advantage kick because Toohey picked it up. Thumped it up towards full forward. No mark taken. Footscray defence under lots of pressure. Now Fripp has given away a free kick and it will be taken by Lesaputty, and he plays on quickly and gives it to Ford. Ford into the back pocket, and the mark has been taken by Hawkins.
Nobody to kick to within about 80 metres. Well, they had to fill that hole, and coming up from a long way away was Hawthorn, who couldn't take the mark at full stretch, and the ball out of play at half-back fleet. Swans lead by 14 points as we are at the 23-minute mark of the third quarter. Match of the day, third against fourth on the ladder. Off the ground, Gregniams. One out, Kappa with Ford. Bays gets boot to ball. Contrary bounce and a behind.
Liberatore now on the bench for Footscray with Brian Cordy as Ford kicks in, member side, keeping his feet on the ground and taking a courageous mark for Thrip, and he'll put the Swans back into attack from 60 metres out. Too far to score, but he'll certainly put it to the advantage of the Swans. Torpedo punt into the pocket. Byrne pushed off the ball too easily. Murphy close to the boundary line, can't gain control of it. Lesaputty there for Footscray, and umpire Carey will bounce. 24 minutes gone. The Swans lead by 15 points.
Most improved player in the league, David Murphy, this year. He's done nothing since the last state game to suggest that he won't be in the next one. Foster, umpire calls for it, and will ball it up. 15-point lead to the Swans, 11-8 to 8-11. Umpire Carey, chance for the Swans to get another one here before three-quarter time. Purser wins. Bays runs out of room. Give us a smile, Mark. It's like the gap between Sydney heads. Look at that.
You'll lose a few more of those without a mouthguard. Byrne. Chance for Footscray. Royal gathers well. Rover extraordinaire. It's a poor kick out wide. Cullen can't control it. Pressured by Neil Cordy. And it just may be a sympathetic pat on the backside by the experienced Dougie Hawkins for young Mark Cullen. Boundary throw in. Half forward flank. Good punch away. There's a chance for Neagle as it dust up behind play. Neagle goes on with it. Kicks it to long and high towards half forward. Morwood. A great mark by Eccleston. The superstar from Wanron down in Gippsland. He kicks it out towards the wing. Neil Cordy. Hawkins. Great tackle by Cordy. Hawks there for the Swans. McGuinness, his first touch in the third quarter. A little chip pass up towards Rance. Hard up against the boundary line. Taken away by Dennis Carroll. Kick around the corner. In towards the centre. Well gathered by Tony Morwood. Onto Hawk. Hawk has plenty of time to steady and kicks it into the pocket. It's marked by Kappa.
Maybe a little bit too far for Kappa to score again. He'll be kicking again from maybe just inside the 50-metre line. And he's really struggled to make the distance today.
He's the leading goal kicker with 66, but his one today makes it just 67. Bayes climbs high but can't mark. Purser at ground level doing the roving. Oh, here's still trouble for Footscray. Well done by Lesapati, playing in his first game. Off the ground, Murphy. Great hand pass. No, this is Murphy. Back there further, it was Fripp. And now Cronin for Footscray. To McGuinness. Penetrating kick by McGuinness. Cousins puts down his opponent. He's played well. Great hand pass. Petraglia wide open. Henwood won't get him. Petraglia still going. He tries to centre rather than going for goal. I think that was what he was trying to do. It was sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Finished up being a point.
Yes, I think he did try to centre in there, and when he was running down towards the goal, he kept running towards the pocket instead of making a direct line towards the goal.
Kick in towards Coleman, and Coleman takes the mark for the Swans at half-back. They're leading by 14 points. Into time on in the third quarter. Coleman's kick. Dropped by Eccleston. Picked up by Hawke. Handball over the top to Bayes. Bayes in turn over the top. Fripp dispossessed by Cronin. He's well tackled. Fripp goes after it again. Gets through. Tony Morwood. Williams on the end of it. Shoots for goal. And puts it through. Perfect play. And the second goal to Greg Williams. The Swans lead again by 20 points, close to three-quarter time in the big match at VFL Park.
Yes, and Michael Moldhouse would have to be starting to be pretty worried about the performance of the Bulldogs here in this third quarter. It's been all the Sydney Swans. And Greg Williams kicks his second goal from 17 possessions, so he's had quite a good day today, Greg Williams. But it's pretty hard to know what Footscray can do to stem the tide. It's been all the Swans in this third quarter.
And in this quarter, they've kicked 6 goals, 3 to 1-2. Absolutely dominated. To come from behind, to set up a clear lead. Umpire Carey comes in and will ball it up again. Can't be long to go. 28.5 minutes gone. And 6 goals is all they managed in the first half, the Swans. So they've nearly doubled their score in this turn. Oh, Hawkins fumbling. You wouldn't see that too often. Holden gets it to Neagle, who goes for one of those lolloping runs. Runs out of room, though. Puts it out in front of Greg Williams. Hotly pursued by Williams. Great hand pass to Morwood. He centres. Kappa. Ford does well to spoil. And had he not been there, that was going through for another goal to Morwood.
Gee, there was some slick hands out on that half-forward flank. Kick in by Ford. Oh, great interception by Murphy. Gets around onto the right foot. Kicks towards goal. Offline, out of bounds on the full. Free kick to Footscray. Taken quickly by Ford. Kicks it out to half-back. Cronin takes the mark. Oh, he was about to play on. Luckily he didn't, because McGuinness was covered and he was going to give the handball to him. Cronin's kick to the wing. It's punched away by Henwood. Rants the Footscray player, and it's over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw-in on centre wing. Slightly forward of the centre wing area. The Swans going from left to right. Purser doing the ruck work. He gets the tap out beautifully to Royal. Royal roving well. Left foot kick up towards half forward. The siren sounds.
A 32-point turnaround in a great third quarter by the Swans. Final quarter action in a moment.
Lovejoy will shatter all your illusions about the genteel world of antiques.
For anything, I'll tear your face off.
Lovejoy has a passion for antiques, beautiful women, money, and the bottle. He's an expert.
Oh, it's William III.
He has to be with an assistant like Eric Catchpole and some very strange clients.
Which one of you bastards is Lovejoy?
Doing business in unusual places. Customer relations are a bit different. And then there's the landlord.
Since my wife died, I need someone to hate.
Phony Dresden, phony Stafford, phony Chelsea.
See the other side of the antiques business.
This job is amazing. Totally amazing.
Lovejoy premieres 8:30 Tuesday, followed by For Love or Money on ABC.
Now to the start of the last quarter at VFL Park. The revitalised Swans 21 points up.
Point lead to the Sydney Swans, who came right back in that third quarter, kicking 6 goals to 1. But still Footscray close enough if they're good enough. Hawthorn fumbles that one, but it's picked up by McGuinness. Puts it out wide to the outer wing. Neagle leading the race, under no pressure. Up to half forward. Badly directed kick. And it's Foster again. Gee, he's marked everything that went in the air.
Foster kicks it quickly towards half forward. Big jump by Dennis Carroll. Couldn't mark. Perhaps be a little disappointed with the umpire because he had 2 grabs at it and even comes up with the football, but umpire Cameron decides on a bounce. The Swans, a comfortable buffer, 21 points in front. Cronin can't break clear. Chance now for Williams. Free kick being picked out of it. Holding his head behind play. Hawkins with the football for Footscray will put his side into attack. Kicks it up looking for Beasley. Beasley in front, a big punch away. Petraglia lacking confidence. Kick off the ground by Williams into the centre. Now's a chance for Baxter. He hasn't had many touches. Royal pushed off the ball by Henwood. Hawk has Murphy in support. Murphy on centre wing. Runs up towards half forward. Kicks it high. Punched away by Foster from Bays over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in between wing and half forward, slightly favouring the Swans. The Sydney Swans lead by 21 points, and we're 1.5 minutes into the last quarter.
Bays perhaps got a hand to that one. Holden, and back out of bounds. Well, Tommy Hafey hasn't changed his team around too much. Mark Browning and Graham Cordy have been sitting on the bench for the entire game. And the bench here is a cold concrete dugout nearly below ground level. They'd be frozen solid, I reckon. McGuinness threads a good hand pass away. Hawthorn up towards half forward, but Neil Cordy in front and takes a good mark.
Played well, Neil Cordy, against his old side. At half back, kicks it out towards the wing. Purser in front, a good flip away by Bays. The crumbs gathered by McGuinness. He looks a little fired up. He may have been given something by Mickey Malthouse. The ball at half forward, repelled by Coleman. Kicks it towards the centre of the ground. Purser up over the top. Chance for Baxter. Darren Baxter. Free kick being picked out of it by umpire Carey, and it'll go to Purser for the Bulldogs.
I think the umps must have been having words about the advantage frees that are being paid this season. They've pulled those up a bit today. Bernard Toohey for the Swans. Towards the outer wing. Hawkins goes after it, but it beats him out of play. 81 playing 60. Swans in front. No addition to the score, and there are the interchange players. Mark Browning, who played a couple in the reserves, and he's come back into the seniors, but he hasn't seen any of the action.
Purser and Bays. Here's a chance for the Swans. Healy, 7th kick, up towards half forward. Thumped away by Maloney. Eccleston takes it over, and we'll have a boundary throw in. some 70 metres around from the Footscray goal. The Bulldogs badly need one. We're nearly 3.5 minutes in. They still trail by 21 points. Purser gets the tap out. Foster kicks it up towards the wing, but the mark's been taken by Carroll. He plays on, gives himself a little bit of space and thumps a long one up towards full forward. High flyers wanted. The ball's at the back. Chance for Moore to kick his fifth. He goes straight into an open goal. No mistake. Put down your glasses. The Swans for my money.
Yes, it doesn't look good for Footscray now. They needed to get that first goal in the start of the last quarter, and it's gone to the Sydney Swans through Tony Moore, who's kicked his fifth. But look at that, 3 Footscray players flying. No one stayed down, except Tony Moore, who waited out the back. And there's the result. He kicks his 5th goal, and the Swans go to a 27-point lead.
Lesaputty is the one who went for the big fly, and the guys with the experience haven't been doing that this season, and I suppose that's where Footscray today are missing Rick Kennedy. Don't think the skipper would have done that. Don't think Malthouse would be too rapt. He's just a first gamer. Now here's a free kick out of the middle to Hawke. Morwood again, but the man in front's got it, Foster. The mark not paid. Hawkins quickly gets it inboard, and away go Footscray. A kick by Baxter is marked at the other end by Carroll. Well, you'd have to think that Swans are cruising towards victory now when you think that Footscray have kicked just 1 goal since the 13-minute mark of the second quarter, and we're at the 5-minute mark of the last quarter. Here's Cronin over the centre of the ground, thumped down to the front by Henwood. Good roving by Hawthorn. Long, Beasley, not quite. Still the fight on. Ball up.
He nearly had that, Simon.
Well, he wants to do something, Robbo, because he's only had 2 kicks for the day. That's been 2 goals. But really, he's been pretty ineffective up there at full forward.
35 metres out from the Footscray goal. Toohey, tackled by Cullen. Umpire Carey decides that he should bounce the ball 35 metres out from the Footscray goal.
Share market's been pretty busy this week. Maybe Simon's a bit tired.
Cousins. Coleman there. No one can really do anything constructive with the football, and we'll have another bounce. Good crowd at VFL Park, 27,000, over 27,000, to watch this battle between the 3rd and 4th teams. Dennis Carroll again, left foot kick into the centre. Sure hands of Tony Moore, it's not paid. Eppleston gathers, can't break clear, and umpire Cameron will bounce.
Oh, wasn't that a mark?
Well, it should have been paid. If you compare it to Beasley's early in the game, that was he held that twice as long.
Big pack around this, and the Swans only need to bottle it up. Henwood gets a big thump away, and Hapey's boys would be happy just to have the umpire ball it up again and again. Hello, bit of a blue going on here behind the play. Purser in there, umpire speaking to Greg Williams, and now umpire Cameron going across to Henwood. Temper's just a little bit frayed at the moment. And while the umpire was speaking to Henwood, Purser and Coleman kept it going. About 20 metres away, the umpire's going to ball it up.
I think the 1986 Joint Brownlow medalist was in that little, I'm sure he was, discussion. Cameron bounces, Purser gets the tap out, McGuinness, free kick being picked out of it. It'll go to Williams as McGuinness was about to break away.
I don't think they're too happy with...
Kicks it into the centre, mark taken by Neagle, plays on, handballs to Hawke. The Swans are running. Oh, shocking handball, looking for Quirk. Kick off the ground by Petraglia, up towards centre-half forward. Crashing his way through was Wallace. Kick off the ground. Beasley has his 3rd kick, and it's smothered, brilliantly smothered by Healy. Carroll there for the Swans. A great captain's game. Left foot kick, nearly as good as the right foot. Tony Morwood can't mark. Paid the free kick by umpire Cameron, and maybe it's a square off for the mark that he nearly took a few seconds ago.
Morwood pops it up high. Kappa's there. Kappa's got it. Been a pretty quiet day for Warwick Kappa. Although he has taken 6 marks, most of them have been too far out for him to score, out near the 50-metre line, and he's kicked just 1 goal, 1. Now Kappa right in front and about 35 metres from goal, or 30. They've hooked that a bit. No, just snuck it home for his second. 68 for the season to Warwick Kappa. But he's starting to get a little bit behind the schedule he needs to kick a ton.
Yeah, well, on a day such as today, when the conditions are really ideal for full forwards, it's been surprising that Beasley and Kappa have only been able to manage 2 goals apiece. But I suppose if Warwick Kappa could have kicked better, he would have had another 4 or 5 chances from about the 50-metre mark. But Michael Ford, I suppose you have to give him credit too. He's done a fairly good job on him today at fullback.
Bounce in the centre, a free kick being paid to Tui. Doesn't mess about, kicks it out wide to Neil Cordy. Little bit of space, then creates the chance to handball it to Coleman, and Coleman does it like the Harlem Globetrotter and keeps it there. Kicks it up to Kappa, nearly took a one-hander. Wallace under pressure, here's Bays, dispossessed by his teammate Williams, back to Kappa. Kappa back to David Murphy. Murphy zigzagging in and out, he breaks clear. Beautiful kick by Murphy up towards the goals, but it's marked by Rance for Footscray.
Rance goes out wide, looking for McGuinness. Hawkins backs through the pack and is caught holding the ball. The tackle came from behind. He didn't see it coming because he was travelling in a reverse motion.
Well, it's a good decision, that one, by the umpire, because Doug Hawkins quite often does try to pretend that he's been pushed in the back.
Morwood on 50. Kappa, not quite this time. Holden and the other number 22, Cullen. And a free kick. No, it's the free kick to Cullen. Holden holding the ball. Holding the ball if you don't use your G's.
Kick by Cullen out to half-back, out of side. Punched away by Bays over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw-in just outside the 50-metre line. The Swans leading comfortably by 33 points. We're 10.5 minutes into the last quarter, and Footscray have compounded. Chance for Bays, quick kick towards centre-half forward. Williams showing courage, handball over the top. Morwood taps on, Eccleston intercepts, kicks out towards the wing. No one home on centre wing. AWOL, the wingers, goes out there, and here's a chance for Thripp. Gathers the ball. Feeds it back to Neil Cordy, who has been one of the best on the ground. His kick is wide, close to the boundary line. Oh, down goes Williams from a crude Eccleston tackle, and Williams will take the free kick for the Swans.
Yes, I'm sure the Footscray boys aren't too happy with Greg Williams from that earlier incident.
And now the free kick's coming up the ground. It's another one to the Swans, this one to Cordy, as Greg Williams trots off. He does reckon he gets a lot of treatment. I suppose he does. Cordy up in the direction of Kappa. Ground level. Comes to Maloney. No distance with that kick. Oh, Royal up too early. If the mark hadn't been taken, it would have been a free. Actually, it is the free to Greg Healy, which is a bit of a shame because a great mark by Cordy. And here's a bit of a go between Henwood and Cousins. Continuing on something that started a while ago. Healy's kick to the goal square. Kappa was decked before it got there. And the Footscray man, Rance, has the mark. It's all academic, really. A 33-point lead to the Swans.
Rance with the ball. Last line of defence for the Bulldogs. Kicks it out towards the members' side. High flyer, Lesser Putty, couldn't mark. Thripp goes after it. Bays intercepts. Thripp takes the hand pass. Backs back, tries to get away from Lesser Putty. And as he does so, he goes over the boundary line and we'll have a throw-in. Just slightly forward of the centre wing. Going towards the Swans' goal. Chance there for Cullen. Kick off the ground by Liberatore. Hawthorn it was. And it goes over the boundary line and we'll have a throw-in on centre wing, right in the players' interchange area as Terry Thripp recovers. There's a chance now for Footscray. Hawthorn can't break clear. He's on the bottom of the pack, struggling for possession. And umpire Cameron will bounce right on the VFL logo.
It's degenerated a bit, hasn't it? 2 goals to nothing in this last quarter. And still Footscray have managed just one in a half of football after setting up a big lead. McGuinness up to Foster, who's been moved back to the forward line where he's been in the last month and a half or so. He's been a great defender. See if he can get some goals on the board. Well, he sets one up here. Good mark, Beasley. And Carter's not prepared to let him go. He'll give 15 away. Beasley will be kicking from the goal line here in a minute. It's a top mark under pressure.
Yeah, straight mark to Simon Beasley. Pretty fortunate because of the wobbly old kick off the boot from Peter Foster. He tried to go for a long spiral torpedo.
Well, Footscray needs 6 goals to win. Can they get them from the 14-minute mark onwards? There's one. Beasley's third for the day.
Yes, I suppose it's good to see them kick a few goals here towards the end, but Footscray's performance has been completely disappointing here in the second half. A lot of their players have gone AWOL, and once the Swans started applying that pressure, the Footscray smaller players really have gone out of the game, and it's been one-way traffic right since half-time.
Well, there was a sign in the crowd that said puppy power, and the Bulldogs certainly have been bullpups since halfway through the second quarter. Wallace on the bottom of that pack has been awarded a free kick, probably for persistence. Wallace to put the Bulldogs into attack. He goes straight towards goal, looking for Beasley. Carter's there, can't quite gain it. Chance for Cullen. Coleman well tackled. Ball running free, half-back flank. Punched away by Cronin. Murphy can't get there, and we'll have a boundary throw in 60 metres around from the Footscray goal. If they could kick a goal in the next 30 seconds, it just might be enough to spur them on. Thrip going off, and Graham Cordy coming on. Boundary throw in 60 metres around from the Footscray goal. Free kick being picked out of that ruck contest, and it'll go to Coleman for the Swans.
Well, that interchange is a highlight in itself. Tommy waited until 15.5-minute mark of the last quarter to make one change. He was criticised in his early days at Collingwood for doing something like that. I suppose if your 18 men are winning, why bother? Well, lightning hand pass Williams to Bays. Standing start, kicks 60 metres. Good running mark by Hawk. But he's still 65 metres out from goal. A lead up the ground by Neagle. That's good sprinting at this stage of the game. 50 metres out. A centering kick to Holden. And just in case you thought Footscray might be coming back with that first goal in about an hour, I'm sure that Craig Holden will steady things up for the Swans. It's 13th kick only. Started pretty well. Had 6 kicks in the first quarter. And he's put that right through the middle. The Swans are 99. Footscray is 66.
And that's just about the end of it. Footscray haven't really looked like it from half-time, and that was far too easy for the Swans. They've got players running everywhere. They've been unguarded by the Footscray defence. And here's Neagle, pops it over to Holden, who had plenty of space there on the forward line.
Bounce back in the centre. Chance for Bays. Out in front of Lissaputty. And he keeps his feet well, Mark Bays. Lissaputty fell over. Goes on with it. Mark Bays up towards half forward. Good mark by Healy over the top of Hawthorn. And it's probably one of the only occasions in a 2-out duel that Gerard Healy has beaten the young Footscray player. He kicks it over the corner. Here's Holden inside 50 metres. Goes for goal number 2. High ball into the square. Mark taken by Rance for Footscray.
Rance towards the outer side for Hawkins. Crashing into Holden. That gives away a 15-metre penalty. A bit frivolous. Doesn't matter. Hawkins up to centre wing. Foster again. Spoiled this time by Carroll. Petraglia running out of room. And I think most people pick Footscray to win. With the bookies, they definitely started favourites for this game. which would have been an amazing come-round, I suppose, after a 108-point defeat in the first round. And it was looking a bit like it at half-time, but not since then. Hello's a fight on back here behind play. I think they're getting a bit cold now. There's no sun left. They just want to warm it up a bit.
It's the only interest left in the game at this stage because the Swans have made it a one-horse race after half-time. There's Goma, who's looking very upset.
He's got the pencil cocked too, Peter Cameron. I think he might do a bit of writing. Mervyn Neagle goes in. He mightn't be the only one. First, though, he might have been a bit close. Now, is he going in too, or just is he the hitty?
I think he's the hitty, Drew. He's looking very upset, Andrew Purser. And really, it's a pity at this stage of the game when the Swans are so far in front that Merv Neagle's name has gone into the book.
Absolutely ridiculous. No discipline. The Swans are short on numbers. They need all of their experienced players. Purser's kicked to half forward. It's punched away. Petraglia has McGuinness in support. McGuinness a short kick, looking for Beasley. Carter. Sensational effort by Rob Carter. The slips catch of the season so far, and he picked it up inches from the ground. The rugged fullback kicks it out towards the wing. Chance for the Bulldogs. Lesser Putty. Now Cullen. Dispossessed. Bays does it easily around Cousins and kicks it long with that left foot beautifully and finds Tony Moore with the sure hands of the Swans half forward. He's kicked 5 goals, Tony Moore. 7th mark. A little too far out to score from a standing position. He's got a 15-metre penalty. Footscray player ran over the mark. And Tony Moore will now kick from about 40 metres out. Young Eccleston, that ran over the mark. A chance for Tony Moore to kick his 6th goal. And if the issue was not beyond doubt before this kick, it certainly is now. That man doesn't miss many. 6 goals for Tony Moore. 16 goals, 9.
Only one more goal kicked in the match. The Swans kicked 10 goals to 3 in the second half to turn it right around and make themselves safe in the top 3 with a 33-point win. Morwood kicked 6, Beasley 3, Cronin 2 for Footscray, and Merv Neagle reported on a striking charge in that game. Well, now to the MCG, where Melbourne and North played a thriller. There was never more than a goal in it at any of the changes, and finally North snatched victory with the last kick of the day, which came after the siren from newcomer Alistair Clarkson. A 2-point win, 3 goals each to Fairley, McCann, Mossop and Clarkson, and for the losers 3 to Bailey, 2 each to Flower, Hughes and Williams. Disappointment for Melbourne, and almost a dream return for Stephen Ick, after who almost 2 years on the sidelines came back. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, I don't know whether you know whether to laugh or cry at the moment.
Yeah, well, it was nice to be back in the side, but it would have been nicer and sure a lot more celebration had we have won that game today.
Must have been a fantastic match.
It was. It was a lot of people said it was very scrambly, but out in the ground it was just a pressure game, and it was a great game to play in, and one that I thought we should have won. And that young boy Clarkson kicked that goal after the siren. What a great goal considering the pressure that he was under.
And they were a couple of goals up going into time on, but you snatched the lead.
Yeah, we made a couple of positional changes going into time on in the last quarter. I went from somewhere on the forward line back to centre half back. Denny Hughes went to centre half forward. Sean White went onto the forward line, and it really did work. We started to get some momentum happening, and we nearly snatched that game. But as I said, we probably should have won it in the finish.
Well, how did you go? You came through all right?
Yeah, got through the game very well.
How much did you play?
I came on about the 25-minute mark of the second quarter. And fortunately enough took a mark and kicked a goal with my first kick back for a couple of years. And
get mobbed?
Well, yes, and I did hear the crowd at that stage. I mean, you don't on the ground see or hear the crowd all that much, but I did hear that, and I was appreciative of the crowd, and they were fully behind me. From there, I was sort of reasonably happy. I did tend to struggle, but I felt that the further the game went, the better I got, and I was appreciative of that.
Terrific, Steve. Well played. Sorry we can't talk to you for longer. We're just a bit stretched for time.
Certainly, Tim.
Well done. Great to see you back. Well, now to a roundup of today's injuries. Unfortunately, Stephen Ick's name isn't on this list, but there are plenty of names on it. David Ackley, shoulder. Paul Fargo, concussion. Daryl Cowie looks like being out for the season with a knee injury. Maurice Rioli, a bruised knee. Michael Gale, as you saw, concussed. And Scott McIver with some knee swelling. 3 reports, Merv Neagle, David Palm and Rod Owen, all on striking charges. TAB info, Sydney paid $2.65, Hawthorn paid $3.05, North paid the big dividend of $6. The Saints fans were confident. Last night the Bombers $4.65. The double, $41.25, and the quadrella today for $11, $5, 9 and 3, $2,441.25. Now to the best marks on a day when the winter sun shone. And first up, a screamer by Paul Roos.
Oh, he's hauled it in! What a mark! Yes, that's a...
Footscray's Richard Cousins finding the VFL tempo.
He's swamped, but over the top goes Cousins and drags down a big one.
Gives the handball
The
back
Swans'
to
David Murphy,
Headwood
always
slow.
spectacular.
Left foot kick. Oh, great mark taken by Murphy. Plays on. Williams.
Uncharacteristic brilliance from Rod Carter.
Sensational effort by Rod Carter. The slips catch of the season so far.
But the best of the day, Richard Osborne, inimitable.
I hope for their sake, on this magnificent day for them, they don't waste the ball right throughout the game.
Look at that mark from Osborne. He just ran in a couple of metres. He could see the back there of Nathan Burke.
The winners on the second day of round 15 were Sydney, Hawthorn, North Melbourne and St Kilda. North getting in with a kick after the siren by 2 points, and they joined Essendon, who won last night by 28 points. Change of leadership on the ladder, although Carlton have a chance to rectify that tomorrow, but 3 teams on 44. North and Footscray just in now, with Essendon creeping a bit closer. Geelong's game against Brisbane becomes very important tomorrow, and down near the bottom, the Saints getting their 4th win of the year. On the goal-kicking table, Tony Lockett draws level with Warwick Kappa with 5 today. Jason Dunstall got 3. Lindner plays tomorrow, as do Gary Ablett, Taylor and Kernahan. And here are the best goals so far in round 15. And one of the most amazing you'll ever see from Laurie Keane.
Beautiful mark in front from Laurie Keane.
Kick the goal. Fitzroy's, once upon a time, now St Kilda's Bradley Gotch.
Gotch. Oh, very quick. Another beauty.
The Saints' brilliant Nicky Winmar, 1 of 4.
Winmar was the man who did it. He picked up brilliantly and snaps. Oh, great play.
Great roving from Brian Royal.
Healy. They combine well. Williams has got it.
In fact, this is Greg Williams, who never wastes the ball.
Goal with the left foot and puts it through.
Now here's Brian Royal, not to be outdone.
Footscray goal. They're doing all the attacking. Oh, sensational roving by Royal.
Because he was desperate.
Brad Gotch within 5 minutes of his earlier contender.
Gotch. Oh, what a goal!
But Richard Osborne took the daily double.
Wendell in the centre, he'll go for a long kick. No, goes for a short kick to Osborne. Oh, all alone in the middle. And the long kick into the pocket. Can Grant get there? He can't!
We'll now look ahead to the completion of the round tomorrow, and it's a double header, a game at the MCG and one at Carrara.
Call it Windy Hill, and the Tigers have it on their forward line.